And welcome everyone to something I hope to God is legal. So, what I'm gonna do is I know technically I shouldn't be doing this yet, considering I've only done ending A of Nier, but I thought I might as well just get this started. So, what this is I hope I'm not like stepping on anyone's toes by titling this like thank you, ambience. Titling this "Let's Read." But anyways, what I'm gonna be doing is this is also gonna be for Destiny 1, Destiny 2 is then Grimoire. It's just when there's really important extra lore or like a lot of lore or all the lore that's just outside of the main game that there's no way that could be recounted. That's not like a movie. I'm gonna read it unless it comes up to my attention like, hey, that's illegal. You can't actually read it, even though Grimoire Neir is not available in anywhere except Japan. There's fan translations. So what I'm going to do is each episode of this specifically, I'm not really going to title the episodes as you've seen, but I'm just going to, be like, let's read Grimoire Neir, and then the title of the short story in this case. And there are 10 novellas. So let's begin with "And Then There Were None." The flute of Hamlin resounds and curtains are drawn, a holy stage that decides the life or death of humankind. I was in a room without windows or even a door. It was a huge room. There was no lamp to be found, but it was bright. The entire ceiling seemed to function as a light source. Around me were people around my age. At first sight, the races seemed to be completely random. Me included, there were 9 males, and the remaining 4 were females. Some were still unconscious, and others were already standing with their guard up. For some reason, each of us had a book lying by their side. What happened? Why am I here? I felt dizzy, maybe due to being drugged to sleep. Times like this, it is best not to stand up too quick. As I identified the situation around me, I reached for my gun, for as I expected, it was gone. Waking up in an unmistakably kidnapped state, I knew fire weapons and the like would be confiscated. It was only natural. However, even the wire that was sewed in the hem of my clothing and explosive hidden in my shoe soles were gone, all of them without exception. So when I realized I was captured by the very organization I worked for. I had a feeling this would happen, and it came to me when I was told about it as this shady top-secret mission. Moreover, they told me it was not an order. I was free to accept the mission or not, they said. Not only would I be presented with a huge compensation, but they even promised to let me retire from service after the mission. In other words, they told me I could say goodbye to this rotten life of mine. You would truly be an utter fool to refuse an offer like this. Or homicidal maniac, I guess. Of course, when they were willing to go this far, it couldn't be a decent mission. If the 99 out of 100, no, 999 out of 1,000 would not return alive or something. They were most likely able to get such offers because from the beginning they did not intend to pay anything. Of course, I knew as much. Despite knowing all along, I'm still here in this mess. Failing to remember, I sneered at myself. Then, someone called to me from the side. It was a young man, presumably younger than me, but unfortunately he was not from the same country. I suddenly shook my head. He probably understood the situation too, as he didn't talk to me since. People from all kinds of countries work for my organization. Most of us only understand our mother tongues. When our age finally hits the second digit, we are forced a life of military training from dusk to dawn. You don't get proper education or anything. Can't read or write our own language, let alone learn other languages. Of course, there are also those that are born from parents from different countries and being raised abroad from a young age have learned multiple languages, but they are but a minority. I also made an attempt to greet the guy on the opposite side of me in my mother tongue, but he too silently shook his head. At that time, the girl right in front of me raised her head. It seemed she finally got to her senses. Resistance to drugs is different per person, but people like her are the ones that usually die first. Being slower than the others can kill you. As soon as our eyes met, her face filled with surprise. Does she know me? Who is she? Wait, I think I've seen her somewhere too. The lass stood up, as expected. Must have made her dizzy, and with a grand sound she tumbled down. The sight of her clumsiness, I remembered. So, you are still alive, huh? Raising her upper body, she nodded. The lass knew a small amount of languages, and I heard her mother came from my country. Children naturally learn the language that their mother speaks. How good, you're alive too. Of course I am. Not put me in the same category as you. I met her 3 years ago. We are both survivors of the 13th Crusade, a large-scale Legion mop-up operation. Of course, we are in different units, but once operation starts, what unit you are in doesn't matter shit. All battlefields are like that. This one was even worse than usual. At the time I was 16 and already a senior soldier, but even I knew my chances of survival were only about 50-50 despite that. In the midst of the melee, I found an idiot that stood stock still in front of the legions. In an instant, I knocked her down before her surroundings were reduced to ash. With an act of mercy or anything that amiable, we soldiers are valuable goods. That's why we save our comrades, or rather we don't waste them. That's the regulation. To my surprise, the idiot was my age, so she was suddenly thrown in the battlefield without even having received any proper training. So surprised she lost her head seeing the legions from up close. It bears a resemblance of human beings. They were once human, after all. Many infected with the white chlorination syndrome face death, but some survive, by turning to rabid monsters, that is. The urgency of exterminating the legions is not simply because they attack humans. Legions are a huge source of infection, creating new patients of the white chlorination syndrome. So this disease emerged 30 years ago. To this day, no cure has been found. Maybe it was a disease spread by the white giant that came from another world. Although there's no specific remedy, preventative medicine exists. Because it is impossible to mass-produce this luciferase medicine. As effects have only been confirmed among the young. The younger, the higher the efficiency. Thus, children with high physical ability are selected, administered with valuable luciferase, and assigned to the extermination legions. The international organization that trains and dispatches these children is the Hamlin organization. It was taken from a fairy tale about a piper that assembles children and leads them away, but in my opinion, it is a name of extremely bad taste. So why are you here anyways? I told about a top-secret mission. High compensation, release from service, you're free to accept or not, right? Her eyes opened in surprise, but she understood immediately and nodded. During the day 3 years ago, the lass had quite naturally been going, to school, so if anything, her learning and comprehensive abilities were higher than mine. I wonder if everyone in here was offered the same deal. I took a good look around me again. Maybe we are from all different places, because we were brought here with the expectations of our countries on our shoulders. First sight, it doesn't appear that people besides the girl and I are planning to share their intentions with each other. People that can refuse it are not here, I think. She was right. Everyone strongly wished to escape their current lives. What we were doing was murder, genocide. After all, we are told that our opponents are monsters without a shred of intelligence. Firsthand, they look unspeakably human, and we incinerate them alive. So that the white chlorination syndrome is passed on by body fluids like blood and saliva. So by shooting them down, we spread these fluids. Therefore, we are ordered to restrain them from firing our guns whenever possible. We don't wish to inhale anything dangerous ourselves, so we don't complain. I've seen creatures that look less like humans die wrapped in fire is no pretty sight. I incinerated my first legion when I only just turned 10. 9 years have passed since then. Still can't get used to it. No matter how many times I see it, it's never pleasant. This thing, what do you think it is? It looks like a book, but I cannot open. With a curious face, I tried to open the book. The books that were left near each of us were very thick, and the covers, they could either be black or deep gray, but had nothing written on them. Hey, don't touch that so carelessly. In a panic, she let go of the book. Don't you on me, jeez. I let out a spontaneous sigh, and this part of her was not changed one bit over the past 3 years. Even though it was just for a while, the lass and I worked together after I saved her. Couldn't afford to leave folks without any battle experience or chance. Luckily, she was a quick learner. With only a few instructions halfway, she managed to keep up with me without delay. Her physical abilities were also formidable. They had to be, otherwise the lass would not have been selected at the age of 16, no matter how high her receptivity to luciferase was. Remember when we could no longer avoid being split up? I thought she would die. After the operation ended, we had no means of contacting each other. Good job surviving that. You sure have good luck. She violently shook her head in denial. Because you let me escape. That's not true. There's an error of judgment on my side. We split up because we were surrounded by legion. If we would run in opposite directions, at least one of us would be able to run away. That's the kind of numbers and disposition the enemy had. I obviously have highest chance of survival, more value in combat, so if I were to make a choice between me and her, I should be the one going down the safer route. Yet I chose the impossible option. I must have been possessed. That's why I was filled with a feeling of discomfort as I remembered. I felt irritated. This very day I have taken an effort not to remember. When she opened her mouth, wanting to say something in return, we heard a quarrel from the corner of the room. It was a guy and a girl. I thought they must have happened to understand each other like us, and it does not seem to be the case. I don't know what the reason was. It must have been a trivial matter. They were cursing at each other without understanding what the other said. Soon the girl slapped the guy. It sounded painful, yet no one tried to intervene. I could not blame them. Each and every one of us had received enough training to fight off a legion barehanded. If you were to step in, you would have to prepare for possible consequences. The young man's face turned red, and he grabbed for the girl. At the moment, we witnessed something unbelievable. Suddenly, the book at the feet of the girl opened, even though she didn't touch it or kick it with her foot by accident. From the open book, suddenly a black hand emerged. The hand quickly enlarged to gigantic proportions and grabbed the young man, raising him in the air. With an astonished expression on his face, he was crushed to death. The girl was dumbfounded too. Apparently even she didn't know what was happening. It did not end there. The book that belonged to the young man started emitting a strong light. Thought another black hand would appear, but I was wrong. His body was sucked into the book, not to be seen again. Along with the young man's body, the light from the book also disappeared. Then the cover's blackish color turned into aquamarine, and a pattern formed on it. It was an eerie pattern that resembled a human face. Silence did not last long. In an instant, the entire room raised an uproar. What was that? How should I know? Don't ask me. I reached out my hand for the book that was lying next to me. Till now I thought it would be best not to touch it carelessly, but the situation had changed. I now had to obtain as much information about these books as I could. Were there no letters or illustrations on the cover? It didn't even have a single scratch. Feeling that the material was different from mere paper, and as Last said, these were completely stuck together as if they're glued shut. How did that girl open her book? At that moment, as to answer, or rather to ridicule my question, voices start flowing into the room. The many voices were all speaking simultaneously, so it was hard to make out what they said. With all my might, because I heard words that I thought would be my language. There were probably 13 voices flowing in at once, so that everyone in the room could understand. The voices relayed information that was quite important, yet was not helpful at all. Books each of us were given were grimoires, books of magic. We should use them to kill each other. Only 2 of us were to survive. The explanation, short as it was repeated without clarifying the exact reason or goal. Top secret mission, my ass, deceiving me like that, I spat out. As I cautiously looked around, in this room without windows or doors, there's no place to run. If I wanted to get out alive, I had no choice but to fight. If we were in this room were going on all out on killing each other, it would be hard to even leave 2 alive. Having one person survive would be pushing, and if we are not careful, everyone will die. I have to avoid being the first at the very least. The girl that conjured the black hand reached for a book once more. The guy next to her was faster. The guy raised her by her neck and wrung it. With a dull sound, her limbs lost their strength. 1 down. I guess the next victim would be the guy that killed the girl. Anyone becomes senseless at that very moment they take down their prey. So obviously his back was already targeted. 2 people charged at him once, but not because they conspired. They simply both judged in an instance that this was the most effective action to take. However, the 2 of them did not kill their target. The moment the girl's body disappeared in her book, the guy that seemed to be Victor fell to the ground with anguish on his face. Lying motionless on the ground, he too was swallowed by his book. 2 books were all that remained. Their covers turned into a green color like jade, and the other amber, both of them forming a peculiar face pattern. You used the magic book, the last muttered with a slight tremble in her voice. The girl that conjured the black hand from her book to kill the guy was acknowledged as a victor because she had used this grimoire, but the guy that killed her bare hands was not regarded as such. So that's how it works. Got it. In this situation, avoiding to be the first to go down is the right answer, so I did not move and gestured the last and with my eyes to do the same. Now the rules of the game were clear, and I finally had a grasp on the situation. But now the problem is, we have no clue how to use this thing. Don't make me laugh. How the hell do you want me to use something as insane as magic? I felt a little grin form on my lips. You know, it's not even funny. I just realized I was heavily shaken. When I first faced the legions, I had not felt this disturbed. Just had to do as I was taught in training. In unexpected situations, there was a way out. Because I knew that, I was able to keep my cool. What do I do here? It's nothing like in training, and I don't know if there's any way out. On top of that, 3 people died right in front of my eyes in rapid succession. It's all because of those damn books. I tried to smash the book on the ground with all my might when somebody grabbed my arm. I'm happy that they... Oh, God. I'm happy that they that survive are 2 people, not 1. We can get away with not killing each other. We both can survive, so we are lucky. I wonder if luck was right word in this situation, but she smiled at me. Not like the faint smiles that I made from losing my mind, but one I could tell came from the bottom of her heart. Calm. Everyone else is alone, but us, there are 2. When thinking with 2 heads, we can find the solution faster than all the others. She was probably right in here. Having someone to communicate your intentions with can be the most powerful weapon. Just pointing out, I'm not the brightest out there. I know, she snickered. She hit the cover of a book with her hand, and then she examined the book with an earnest look on her face. That person, she was angry and was almost killed. Black Hand is connected to one of those. Or maybe you have to meet both requirements to use this Grimoire thing. Nonetheless, if we had to be on the verge of death to activate this thing, it would not make things easy. Maybe they told us to kill each other in order to clear this very requirement. Oh, or maybe. She raised her head as if realizing something when suddenly the expression on her face froze. What's wrong, I thought. Failed to exclaim the question. I thought I saw her stretch out her arms at me. When I felt something hit my back, I realized she had knocked me down. In tilted perspective, I saw a gigantic black lance that penetrated the last body. All sound faded away. She must have seen the black hand from over my shoulder. That's why she suddenly knocked me down. She returned the favor from 3 years ago, or maybe she... A book nearby started shining, and I rushed to her side. At this rate, she was going to be sucked up by the book. I held her in arms and strongly grasped her hand. Don't disappear. Please don't disappear. Her lips moved. What is it? What do you want to say? But I could not understand her language. Come to think of it, I did not even know her name. Because we never expected to live to see each other again, neither of us had given their name. Suddenly the heft escaped from my arms, and I had it held tight seemed to slip out of my grasp as it disappeared. All that remained of her was a book with a red cover. It was a deep crimson like the color of blood. The face that formed on it did not bear the slightest resemblance to hers. Everything went white before my eyes. I cried out. I merely cried out. Countless letters I have never seen before appeared, blocking my vision, yet I kept screaming. All of a sudden, the faded sound came back. I heard screaming and several groaning voices. Many pointed spears were protruding from the floor. With a blank look, I gazed out. Everyone in the room was skewered in an instant. Due to the strange letters at my sight, I had long lost my sense of reality. For long, my vision returned to normal. A young man was standing on the other side of the room, triumphant grin formed over his lips, with his book in his hand. This was the guy that summoned the spears from the ground. Apparently, letters had protected me from trouble. I survived, but the thoughts didn't make me happy at all. I had no desire whatsoever to laugh in triumph, like the guy in front of me. On the other hand, I did not feel like mourning over the dead either. Frankly, I did not care one bit. Then, I saw something shining in the corner of my eye. The book. My book started emitting light, even though I had won the fight. The other guy shouted something in a bewildered tone, because he was complaining about how they deceived him by letting the final two to remain would be able to get out of here. Actually, the voices said, only 2 of you are to survive. They did not say anything about letting us out. I had a feeling this would happen. The higher-ups of our organization were not a pleasant bunch, after all. This phrase, being a preventive medicine, was a downright lie. You know, it can delay the onset of disease, you cannot prevent infection. First got wind of the rumor a little while ago. Then, we were deceived and simply used to suit their convenience. We were given medicine without preventative effects and thrown in the midst of a huge source of white chlorination syndrome infection. Thrown led away by the piper, doomed to fall ill and die sooner or later. Or they turned into monsters to be killed by their comrades. The situation in the room is probably a human experiment too. From the moment we were collected here, our fates had been sealed. The guy shouting had stopped, and I saw a face form on the now pitch-black book. Just like the last, it did not bear the slightest resemblance to his original face. However, I'm not sure whether you could say I saw it, as my body was already sucked into the book. I cannot see the color of my own cover, though. Ah, I see. White. The White Book. Grimoire Weiss. What a ridiculous name. I can't hold my laughing. So from now on, a new farce begins. And now that we're given new faces, what roles are we to perform? I just kept on laughing.